There's a warrior standing in the snow at 4 in the morning. His breath creates clouds in the frozen air. He's been doing this for 97 days straight. No excuses, no negotiations, no second guessing. While the world sleeps, he moves through a sequence of exercises that would break most people by day 3. But here's what's terrifying. He doesn't struggle anymore. His body moves automatically. His mind doesn't resist. The discipline that once required every ounce of willpower now flows through him like breathing. This isn't motivation. This isn't inspiration. This is something far more powerful. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to build it within yourself. The promise, what you're about to discover. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn the ancient system that transforms ordinary humans into unstoppable forces of nature. This isn't theory. This isn't motivational fluff. This is the exact blueprint used by Spartan warriors, Shaolin monks, and modern elite operators to forge discipline so deep that it becomes identity. You'll discover why willpower fails, why motivation betrays you, and what actually works when you need to become someone entirely different. Most importantly, you'll learn the specific protocol to build this transformation in exactly 100 days. The story begins. The warrior's weakness. His name was Marcus, and 3 years ago, he was drowning. Not in water, but in the chaos of his own mind. Every morning began with the same internal battle. The alarm would sound, and immediately, the negotiations would start. 5 more minutes. It's too cold. I'll start tomorrow. I deserve rest. He'd scroll through his phone for an hour, promising himself he'd work out later, eat better at lunch, start that project after coffee. But later never came. Lunch was fast food. The project remained untouched. Each day ended with the same hollow promise. Tomorrow will be different. Marcus wasn't lazy. He had ambition. He had dreams. He'd read every self-help book, watched every motivational video, and tried every productivity system. He'd experienced bursts of intense effort, working out twice a day, waking up at 5, grinding until midnight. But it never lasted. The willpower would drain like water through cupped hands, and he'd crash back into old patterns, each failure adding another layer of shame and self-doubt. What Marcus didn't understand then was that he was fighting the wrong battle. He was trying to win through force, through raw willpower, through sheer determination. But willpower is a finite resource, and determination eventually exhausts itself. The human brain, that ancient survival machine, is designed to conserve energy, to take the path of least resistance, to negotiate and compromise. Every morning, Marcus was expecting his primitive brain to choose discomfort over comfort, pain over pleasure, effort over ease. He was asking the impossible, the breaking point, when pain becomes purpose. The turning point came on a winter morning when Marcus looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back. Not physically, though he'd gained weight and lost muscle, but in the eyes. The eyes of someone who'd stopped believing in himself. Someone who'd made and broken so many promises that his word, even to himself, had become meaningless. That's when the real pain hit. Not the physical discomfort of exercise or the mental strain of discipline, but the existential agony of wasted potential. That morning, Marcus discovered something that would change his life forever. He found an ancient text, a training manual from a warrior tradition that had survived for centuries. But this wasn't just another self-help philosophy. This was a system, a precise protocol for transforming the human mind and body. The opening lines struck him like lightning. The undisciplined man believes he makes choices every day. The disciplined man understands that he made his choices long ago, and now he simply executes. This was the key Marcus had been missing, the fundamental principle that separates those with scary discipline from everyone else. It wasn't about building willpower. It wasn't about finding motivation. It was about eliminating the need for both. It was about creating a life where discipline wasn't a choice you made each morning, but a reality you stepped into automatically, like walking into a room where everything is already arranged exactly as it should be. The system revealed. The architecture of unbreakable discipline. The ancient system, Marcus discovered, was built on a single revolutionary insight. Your future self will always choose comfort over growth unless your present self removes the choice entirely. Every moment of weakness, every failure of discipline, happens in the gap between intention and action. That gap is where your primitive brain operates, where it whispers its seductive lies, where it convinces you that tomorrow is soon enough, that you deserve a break, that missing one day won't matter. The solution? Destroy the gap, eliminate the choice. Create a system so rigid, so predetermined, that your future self has no decisions to make. Here's how it works. Phase 1, the foundation, days 1 to 30. The first 30 days are about establishing your non-negotiable routines, not goals, not intentions. Routines so fixed, they become laws of nature. Marcus started with 3 rules, and 3 rules only. First rule, wake at the same time every single day. No exceptions, no negotiations. Not when you feel rested, not when you have enough sleep. At the exact same time, executed with the precision of an atomic clock. His time was 4:30 in the morning. Second rule, begin movement within 60 seconds of consciousness. Not getting out of bed, that's still a choice. Movement, your feet touching the floor, your body standing upright, your first step forward. This wasn't about exercise yet. This was about training your body to obey before your mind could negotiate. Marcus would stand, walk to his bathroom, splash cold water on his face, and drink a glass of water. The entire sequence took 90 seconds. No phone, no news, no checking anything. Just the sequence. Third rule, execute your primary training before consuming any information. No social media, no email, no news, no messages. Nothing enters your mind until you've honored your commitment to yourself. For Marcus, this meant 30 minutes of movement, not a workout routine that changed based on mood or energy. The exact same sequence, every single day. 20 push-ups, 30 squats, 40 lunges, 50 jumping jacks, 60 seconds of plank. The same exercises, the same order, the same count. No variation, no creativity, no listening to his body, just execution. The first week was agony. His body rebelled, his mind screamed. Every morning felt like warfare. But here's what Marcus discovered. By week 2, something shifted. The rebellion weakened. The negotiations became quieter. His body started waking up seconds before the alarm. His feet touched the floor without thought. The cold water became expected. The exercise sequence began to feel not like torture, but like identity. Phase 2, layering complexity, days 31 to 60. Once the foundation was unshakable, Marcus added the second layer. This is where most people make a critical error. They try to change everything at once, overwhelming their system, triggering massive resistance. The ancient protocol was different. It added one new, non-negotiable habit every 10 days, but only after the previous habit had become automatic, effortless, invisible. Day 31, Marcus added his second sequence, meal, timing, and composition. Not a diet, a protocol. Breakfast at 6:30, never earlier, never later. The same meal every single day. 3 eggs, prepared the same way. 1 cup of oatmeal with the same toppings, 1 piece of fruit, the same type. The goal wasn't optimal nutrition, though he deliberately chose healthy foods. The goal was removing decisions, eliminating the moment where his primitive brain could negotiate, compromise, or rationalize. Day 41, he added the third sequence, evening reflection and preparation. At exactly 8:30 every evening, Marcus would review his day using a simple protocol. He'd write exactly 3 sentences. First sentence, what he executed perfectly. Second sentence, where he faced resistance. Third sentence, how he'll execute tomorrow. No journaling, no lengthy processing, no emotional exploration. Just 3 sentences, clinical and precise, followed by immediate preparation for the next day. Clothes laid out, water bottle filled, exercise space cleared, every variable controlled, every decision eliminated. By day 60, Marcus had built a structure so solid that his life began to run on autopilot. But this wasn't mindless zombie existence. This was freedom, the freedom that comes when the fundamentals are handled automatically, when you're no longer spending mental energy on basic decisions, when your discipline is so reliable that you can trust yourself completely. Phase 3, intensification days 61 to 90. The third phase is where transformation becomes transcendence, where discipline evolves from behavior into identity. Marcus had learned that consistency builds the foundation, but intensity builds the character. During phase 3, he didn't add new habits. Instead, he intensified the existing ones, pushing them beyond comfort into the realm where growth actually happens. His morning movement sequence doubled in duration and difficulty. But here's the key. It remained exactly the same every single day. Same exercises, same order, just more reps, longer holds, deeper ranges of motion. His primitive brain had already surrendered the battle over whether to exercise. Now he was training it to endure discomfort without resistance. This is the phase where Marcus encountered the deepest resistance. Not the surface-level negotiation of the early days, but something more primal. His body would ache. His mind would present seemingly logical reasons to back off. You're overtraining, you need recovery, you're not being smart about this. But Marcus had learned to recognize these voices for what they were, the last desperate attempts of his comfort-seeking brain to regain control. He pushed through using a technique from the ancient protocol called predetermined response. For every form of resistance, he'd already decided his response. Body aches? Predetermined response. Slow down movement but maintain full sequence. Mind negotiates? Predetermined response. Acknowledge the thought, then execute anyway. Emotions push for exception? Predetermined response. Feel the emotion fully, then proceed with protocol. By day 90, something extraordinary had happened. The resistance had vanished almost entirely, not because the work became easier, but because his identity had shifted. He was no longer someone trying to be disciplined. He was someone who executed, regardless of circumstance, regardless of feeling, regardless of anything. The transformation. When discipline becomes instinct. On day 91, Marcus woke up 30 minutes before his alarm. Not because he set it wrong, his body woke itself. He lay there in the darkness, and something remarkable happened. Nothing. No negotiation, no mental battle, no weighing of options. His body simply rose, moved through the sequence, executed the protocol. It felt as natural as breathing. This is the moment that most people never reach because they quit during phase 2. They mistake the quiet period when resistance fades, but transformation hasn't yet completed for the finish line. They think they've built discipline, so they start making exceptions. Just this once. I've earned it. One break won't hurt. But exceptions are like cracks in a dam. The first one seems harmless, but it weakens the entire structure. Marcus didn't make exceptions. Day 92, 93, 94. The protocol continued. But something was different now. The discipline that once required conscious effort now flowed unconsciously. His body knew when to wake. His movements followed their sequence without thought. His meals appeared at their designated times. His evening preparation happened automatically. People around Marcus started noticing, not just the physical changes, though he'd transformed his body completely, but something deeper. There was a quality about him now, a presence that unsettled people. When he committed to something, there was no doubt in his voice. When he set a boundary, there was no room for negotiation. When he faced a challenge, there was no visible anxiety or hesitation. He simply moved forward, executed, adapted, continued. Some called it intensity, others called it focus. A few called it scary. But Marcus understood what it really was, the elimination of internal conflict. Most people spend enormous mental energy managing the war between who they want to be and who they actually are, between what they intend and what they do, between their promises and their actions. Marcus had ended that war. His intentions and actions had merged into a single flowing reality. The final phase, days 91 to 100 and beyond. The last 10 days of the protocol serve a specific purpose: stress testing. Marcus had built his system in relatively controlled conditions. Now he needed to test it against chaos. He deliberately introduced variables, traveled to a different city, changed his environment, disrupted his normal schedule. The question was, would his discipline survive disruption? Day 95. He woke in a hotel room in an unfamiliar city. Different bed, different sounds, different temperature. His alarm went off at 4:30. His feet hit the floor at 4:30 and 1 second. The sequence began. The protocol executed. The chaos was irrelevant. His discipline had become portable, independent of environment, immune to circumstance. Day 98. He faced a legitimate crisis, a family emergency that demanded immediate attention. He handled it completely, made all necessary decisions, provided all needed support. But the next morning at 4:30, he woke, rose, and executed. The crisis hadn't earned him an exception. Nothing earned him an exception. That was the point. On day 100, Marcus stood in the same spot where he'd started, but he was not the same person. The transformation was complete not because he'd reached some destination, but because the journey had become his identity. He didn't need to maintain discipline anymore. He simply lived it, breathed it, embodied it. But here's what Marcus discovered in those final days. 100 days wasn't the end, it was the beginning. He'd built an engine, and now he could apply it to anything. Want to master a skill? Apply the protocol. Want to build a business? Apply the protocol. Want to transform any area of life? The system was universal because it operated on fundamental principles of human psychology and behavior. The principle. Why this works when everything else fails. Let's strip away the story and examine the raw mechanism. Why does this system forge unbreakable discipline when motivation fails, when willpower depletes, when every other approach crumbles? Reason 1. Decision elimination. Research in behavioral psychology reveals that humans make approximately 35,000 decisions per day, and each decision depletes mental resources. This is called decision fatigue, and it's why even the most disciplined people crack by evening. They've spent all day making choices, and their willpower account is overdrawn. The 100-day protocol eliminates decisions by creating predetermined sequences. You don't decide whether to wake up early, you already decided on day 1, and now you simply execute that decision repeatedly. You don't choose what to eat for breakfast, that choice was made once, and now you follow the protocol. You don't debate whether to exercise, the sequence begins automatically. This isn't rigidity for its own sake, it's strategic. By eliminating trivial decisions, you preserve mental resources for important ones. By making discipline automatic, you free your conscious mind for creativity, problem solving, and growth. Reason 2. Identity formation. Most people try to build discipline by doing disciplined things, but that's backwards. You don't become a writer by writing once. You become a writer by writing so consistently that writer becomes part of your identity. The same applies to discipline. The 100-day protocol works because it's long enough and strict enough to shift identity. Around day 60 to 70, something neurologically significant happens. Your brain stops categorizing the behavior as something I do and starts encoding it as something I am. You're not someone who works out. You're someone whose body moves every morning at the same time. That subtle shift is the difference between behavior and identity. Reason 3. Resistance elimination. Every negotiation is an opportunity for failure. Every moment of choice is a vulnerability. Your primitive brain is extraordinarily skilled at negotiation. It will present seemingly rational arguments. You need more sleep for recovery. Missing one day will help prevent burnout. Being flexible is actually healthier than being rigid. These arguments sound reasonable because they're designed to sound reasonable. That's how the comfort-seeking mechanism works. It doesn't say, let's be lazy. That would be too obvious. It says, let's be smart, let's be balanced, let's listen to our body. The 100-day protocol defeats this by refusing to negotiate. Not because negotiation is bad, there's a time and place for flexibility, but because during the formation period, negotiation is death. Reason 4. Momentum compounding. Physics teaches us about inertia. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. This applies to behavior. Each day you execute the protocol, you're not just building that day's discipline, you're adding momentum to every previous day. By day 20, you have 20 days of momentum. By day 50, you have 50 days pushing you forward. Breaking the chain doesn't just cost you one day, it costs you all the accumulated momentum. That's why exceptions are so dangerous during the formation period. You're not just skipping a workout, you're stopping a freight train that took 50 days to accelerate. Reason 5. Neurological rewiring. Neuroscience reveals that consistent behavior literally changes brain structure. Neural pathways that fire together wire together. Every time you execute your morning sequence, you're strengthening the neural pathway that connects alarm sounds to body rises and moves. By day 100, that pathway is so strong, so deeply carved into your neural architecture, that the behavior becomes automatic. This is why the protocol must be exactly the same each day. Variation requires new neural pathways. Consistency carves one pathway so deep that it becomes the path of least resistance. Eventually, it requires more effort to deviate from the protocol than to execute it. The dark side. What you must know before you begin. But let's be honest about something the motivational videos never mention. This system has a shadow side. Building discipline this deep changes you in ways you might not expect, in ways that not everyone around you will appreciate. First, you become intolerant of excuses, not just your own, but others. When you've eliminated every justification for your own failures, you start seeing clearly how many excuses permeate normal human interaction. People will tell you why they can't, why it's different for them, why their circumstances are special. You'll hear it differently now. You'll hear the negotiation, the comfort-seeking mechanism, the resistance dressed up as reason. This can create distance in relationships. Second, you become unsettling to others. Most people are deeply invested in their own negotiations, their own justifications for why they aren't doing what they know they should do. Your existence, the mere fact that you execute consistently without excuses, challenges their entire framework. Some will admire you, others will resent you. Many will try to undermine you, often unconsciously, by offering temptations, mocking your rigidity, or predicting your eventual failure. Third, you face the dark side of discipline itself. When the external resistance fades, you confront something more disturbing: emptiness. For weeks, you've been fighting, struggling, overcoming. Your identity has been wrapped up in the battle. Then one morning, there's no battle. The resistance is gone. You execute automatically, and there's a strange hollow feeling where the struggle used to be. This is the moment where you must find new meaning, new purpose, new dragons to slay. The protocol gave you the sword, but you must choose what to fight for. Fourth, there's the risk of rigidity becoming brittleness. The protocol works by eliminating flexibility during the formation period. But life requires flexibility. Real discipline isn't robotic adherence to arbitrary rules. It's the ability to commit deeply to what matters while adapting intelligently to reality. Some people complete the 100 days and can't transition. They've trained themselves so thoroughly to follow the protocol that they can't adjust when adjustment is needed. They've built a beautiful prison instead of a powerful foundation.